What makes a fighting game special? Is it the moments? Is it the characters?
Amazing!
Or maybe it's just all about that gameplay? Unfortunately, here the boring answer is in the end the correct one. It is the combination of all the things. Now, that doesn't mean all the things are of equal value. For example, I would say gameplay is in the end the most important thing to get right. If your game isn't fun or satisfying to play, it doesn't matter how great your tournament is organized or how interesting your characters are or look, people will give up on it. But if that is the only thing you need, why are there great games with solid foundations still out there with, without a large player base? Let's talk about Granblue Fantasy Versus as an example. Granblue is a popular IP, and that game is made by a beloved studio, Arc System Works. Why wasn't it an instant classic? Now, let's get it clear. Granblue has a healthy player base, which is definitely more than many fighting games, but it isn't the instant classic it probably should have been. Now, some would immediately say their approach was too casual to fighting games, that put off the, hardcore fighting game veterans that have been playing for years. But I would say that's only a small part of the issue. It is definitely a fair argument. Making a game more accessible is good and all, but it can't be at the cost of death. Another problem is Arc's refusal to improve their old and honestly bad netcode, at least until Guilty Gear Strive comes out. But even then, you have games that become popular despite of their bad netcode. There was also the argument that people hated how few characters there was at launch. I personally think there is no right amount of characters at launch. I've seen people complaining about Guilty Gear Strive, for example, having 15, I think, and it's too little. But personally, I think having the distinctive, fun characters that are unique is more important. Quality over quantity here. Another big reason Granblue suffered is, unfortunately, the pandemic. I believe fighting games are in a unique position, that many people find out their next game they're gonna play from tournaments. And with no big offline hype tournaments for Granblue, well, ever, it is a big hindrance for the game to get mainstream appeal. We tend to forget that the FGC isn't very big, and it likes to follow, the trends. It goes to whatever is popular at the time. It is very possible that in a few months' time, when the virus situation slows down and we get some offline tournaments again, Granblue will have a slow and steady upwards trajectory. If Arxis continues to support it and release new characters, I think it's very possible that Granblue makes a full comeback. If you can call it a comeback, it's not actually doing really badly. So, let's take a look at another Arxis game, one that is at the top of the charts. Dragon Ball FighterZ. Once again, a super popular IP, beloved studio. It got criticized that it somehow was too casual because it had auto combos, but still, FighterZ rose to superstardom. Now everyone plays it. Now the first thing that comes to mind, you can argue that Dragon Ball is a bigger IP than Granblue. It is in a unique position, that those who love anime fighters will of course play it, but Dragon Ball has such a pull that those who would normally skip an anime fighting game still wanted to play it. Not to mention all the Dragon Ball fans, who will play anything with Dragon Ball in it. That fanbase itself is pretty massive. Another obvious advantage it had, there wasn't a global pandemic. Thanks to that, we got one of the best rivalries in FGC history with Goichi and Sonic Fox.
Your Dragon Ball FighterZ 2019 EVO champion!
After overcoming hand injury, he's in tears.
And the hype yells and so on, and these clippable, shareable small moments are incredibly important to get the so-called casuals to try out your game.
We need to win one. So here we go. Oh, that was so loud. Talk to me. That was music to my earlobes.
So, in the end, what is the difference between Granblue and FighterZ? It is the combination of factors. Hype tournaments, bigger IP certainly helped. But was that all? It's possible. I at least don't think Granblue is gameplay-wise significantly worse than FighterZ. But maybe you do. Maybe you have some ideas. Give some thoughts. If you do, put them down in the comment section below. Let's make this a discussion, see what we come up with. So, let's say you're a game developer trying to make a fighting game. What should you make sure you get right? Make sure your gameplay is good. That's obviously the first most important thing. Ideally, it would be unique and familiar at the same time. Having things that every fighting game player enjoy and knows, but with its own unique twist. I mean, that's easier said than done. Then try to make your characters as memorable and fun looking as possible. Especially if you're a new IP, this is incredibly important. Then have at least decent netcode, hopefully good netcode, and then support your tournaments. But understand that there is no perfect formula you can follow. Make a fun game that is fun to play with interesting characters and mechanics, then support your players and fans. Make it as easy as possible to organize tournaments and events. Let your fans make art, videos, stream your game, and so on. And soon you will be the next Street Fighter. Maybe. Hopefully.